What a weekend of footy, Dan. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Rugby League Outlaws, brought to you by our good friends at Top Sport, onelittlefootyfan.com.au and the Stubby Club. Dan, great weekend of footy.
Semi-final football. Who would have thought you get rid of the terrible teams and bye-bye goes bad football?
Yeah, I mean, that exactly right. The top 8 were a cut above, and those games were just absolutely fantastic. 4
superstar games, one game that was a bit of a blow-up, the other ones were real good.
The first time since 2005 that the Melbourne Storm and the Sydney Roosters, either of them will not feature in round 2.
It's pretty incredible. We'll discuss them more later, but that's a stat that you just assume they'll be there.
That's amazing. Those two are the teams that go, but
it's good. Feels good, I've got to say.
It does. What doesn't feel good though is Cronulla losing to the North Queensland Cowboys.
Yeah, it hurts. I have to ask Terry, have we blown it?
Look, all signs point to yes, because you win that game, you avoid penalty until the grand final. We've got to do it the hard way now.
Yes,
We've got to play the South Sydney Rabbitohs in South Sydney territory, even though it's our home game.
It doesn't matter.
And then you have to go and play the Penrith Panthers to then go and play another 3 hard teams. So we have, yeah. I think we'll get out of this round, but you're then going to that Penrith juggernaut. You know.
Yeah,
it's tough.
The only way that I could foresee us genuinely challenging for the title was getting through this weekend at home, as we should have, against probably, the team that we're most favoured to beat. Get a week off, hope that, they bash each other and we pick the scraps against Parramatta. Then on grand final day, anything can happen. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen. Penrith are real good. They capitulated against Melbourne and then they relied on an intercept try to win the comp last year. So,
well, yeah, you got to, the year we won at Melbourne were 11.5 favourites going into the game. So
exactly, anything can happen. So I think our title chances are gone.
Yeah,
I'm comforted by the fact that by all rights we shouldn't be where we are. We've well overachieved. So I'm happy, and I stated here last week that even if we go out in straight sets, I would be happy. I take it back. I want to win a finals game.
Yeah, I absolutely want to win a finals game. I don't want to be that meme that came out today about Brad Arthur.
No, not at all. I don't want that. But in all seriousness, I think Cronulla have done ourselves a huge disservice with the loss.
Yeah.
I'm not overly upset by it, but I would rather be running out in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. Now, Ashley Klein has been the subject of many people, some saying he lost control of the game, some saying he could only do what was in front of him. Where are you with Ashley Klein?
I'm in the latter camp. Now, I understand why people can say that he lost control because players were going off left, right and centre. What more could he do? It's not like he was saying, penalty, no sin bin. He was flicking blokes left, right and centre. I think all the sin bins bar one were right. I think he missed one. So for me, it's all square.
Mm-hmm.
You referee what's in front of you. No referee escapes that game without a sin bin because the South Sydney Rabbitohs and the Sydney City Roosters made it so. All week we heard these two were going to bash each other. They were at each other's throats. The fans were at each other. They were arguing about, last week's result, home base, this and that. It was always going to happen. I don't care who the referee is. And I'm no huge fan of Ashley Klein. I'm just saying, I think he's a little bit dudded here.
It wasn't Ashley Klein that lost control of that game, it was the players. Players losing control of their tempers, their emotions, what more could Ashley Klein do? And the fact as well, if he misses the high contact, he's led by the video referee.
Correct.
Which some would say it's the blind leading the blind there. But yeah, I think Ashley Klein can only do what he's tipped off to do. Now, one of the big things is the James Tedesco incident. Tom Burgess wasn't sin-binned and therefore they weren't able to activate their 18th man. Now, mitigating circumstances that bounced up off the ball, hit him in the face. But again, Ashley Klein's tipped off. He didn't see it, so he didn't penalise it straight away. And the video referee said, this one's not a sin bin.
Yeah, mitigating circumstances was the term used.
Yeah. I think, look, in all honesty, I didn't enjoy that game of football. And I thought Ashley Klein did what he could to keep it as a game of football before it turned into a Royal Rumble.
Sticking with that, you're saying you didn't enjoy it. Is it good for the game? It was a great contest, but, overshadowed. No one's talking about the result. Yeah,
look, that's not rugby league. You don't want to go back to the 80s where blokes were just dropping them on their heads and then start getting up throwing punches. It happens once a year, fair enough. I guess you kind of live with it, and I'm glad that those two teams did it because we play the winner of it. But I didn't enjoy that game at all.
That's completely fair. Now, I did enjoy the game, I have to fully admit, because of, as you mentioned earlier, Cronulla play next week, and I was hoping they beat the living snot out of each other. I'm not, above admitting that here on camera. I wanted both teams to limp into next week, or whoever won to limp into next week, and we pick the pieces and go through to a prelim against Penrith. In terms of the game, okay, it was fun watching blokes, come in and just life on the line is what it felt like. But when you take a step back, there is no chance I want to see that again.
No.
This year or hopefully next.
If I went to a Cronulla versus Dragons game and that's what you got, you'd be very close to leaving.
Give me the Cronulla game the night before.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not one of these people that's like, you got to take the toughness out of rugby league. Mm-hmm. I think it crossed the line, though.
Yeah, I think it definitely crossed the line.
Well, 32 sin bins suggests perhaps it did, so...
Yeah. Dan, the Storm, are they in decline?
I think, for the first time, yes, they are. The reason I say this is, they're not there this week, and this hasn't happened for a long, long, long time. There's a big exodus of players on the way up.
Yeah, look, there's a big exodus of players. However, the players that are leaving the Melbourne Storm were the worst players on the ground. Kenny Bromwich, Jesse Bromwich, 33 and 30 years old. Felice Kafusi, 30 years old as well. They looked every bit against that fresh, young Canberra pack. That's the Dolphins' problem now. Craig Bellamy is going to go to his Q-Cup teams that are in the finals, get some no-frills props. He'll go and pick the scraps up, what's left. Melbourne have still got some money in the salary cap. They'll come back a fresher team now. Do I think they're going to compete for a premiership in the next couple of years? No, but they're still going to be in the top 8.
I'm not brave enough to tip against Bellamy in the Storm, but my counterpoint is their backline this year has been terrible. Mm-hmm. You've never said that about Melbourne. Now, I thought Nick Meaney was a tremendous signing and has lived up to what he did. He's twice played now than he was. Xavier Coates is a try-scoring freak. Didn't do much else other than score a hat-trick of tries, but if that's your pass mark, well, that's an A for me. Other than that, the Aaron Myers and, your Seves, not real good. I thought Olam regressed big time this year, but I think last year, that was more how good he was last year compared to how bad he was this year. Plus, Cam Munster. Cam Smith has come out and said that our good mate Cam Munster is on his way to the Dolphins. If he was going to stay, it would have been done. If they lose Munster, this team, done.
Rebuild. Yeah, Harry Grant's come out today and said, look, I took less money to stay at Melbourne than go to the Dolphins. He's hoping Munster will as well. For mine, I think Munster has achieved more in the game than Harry Grant has. He's got every right to go and chase that big contract. The Melbourne Storm backline, yes, pretty bad this year. Remus Smith, though, was a huge, huge loss for them. And one of the reasons why Justin Olam was so good last year is because Remus took a lot of...
It's very true.
Yeah. I still think the left wing position is up for grabs, but again, Jennings, who was on the wing for them and was playing really well, did his ACL. They can't keep David Nofaluma.
No, I don't think they should.
Send him back to the Tigers where he belongs. I'm not going to bet against Craig Bellamy, but I am going to turn around and say that Melbourne are probably going to be around that 5th to 6th mark here on out until they can start making some signings. Once they know what Cam Munster's doing, but you watch, Cam Munster leaves and goes to the Dolphins, they'll go and pick like a Braden Trindle up or a Kurt Falls, and he'll be the next.
It's a very good point. For mine, though, I think they're on the way down. Maybe they'll only finish 6th next year. Terry, I saw a comment during the week by a journalist, a journalist, saying that it was embarrassing this week having 20,000 at Penrith and 10 or 12,000 at Cronulla. Meanwhile, the AFL playing in front of sellout crowd at MCG. What are your thoughts?
I don't care less what the AFL does.
Right there, says everything. Stop comparing the codes. Okay, AFL's different. They're trained to go to this big super stadium because they're all so close. You tell Cronulla fans they've got to go to Allianz every week? No chance. We didn't even go to Cogra and it's just down the road. The system's different. Here you earn a home ground final. Suburban rugby league is better. Better.
Yeah. I mean, you only have to go back to when the Perth Glory played Sydney FC at Optus Stadium in the grand final, and they're going, there's 60,000 people at this game, and it was during an NRL round, and they're like, the crowds look poor. Well, it's a one-off grand final.
Spot on.
And I mean, AFL is a completely different beast. Mm-hmm. It's our national sport as the Australian Football League. I just don't care what they do.
No, me neither. I don't care about the TV rights. I don't care about the crowds. I don't care about TV ratings. Let's just focus on our game because it's supremely better. Which gives me one second.
If you want to go and watch, if 70,000 people want to go and watch Kill the Deal with the Pill, where you get a point for participation because you can't kick straight, good on you. Give me 12,000 people at Shark Park.
Yes, and we've got some friends that are choosing the AFL rubbish over the Jets this weekend.
You are atrocious, Rich Ossington. Dan, we mentioned it before. The meme came out today. Brad Arthur's won one finals game. Are the Eels finals chokers?
Yeah, I think it's right there. This weekend, the players are going to go in with that in their mind. I don't care what you say. Brad Arthur will definitely try and defer from it. It's hard to ignore headlines this time of year. And any difference up here, Ricky Stewart's going to go, thank you very much. I think they go out straight sets.
I think, that Canberra pack just looks too much for mine.
But if Canberra come out and beat Parramatta just by being the better side, Para haven't choked.
Yeah, they have.
Fair enough. It was time for everybody, especially my favourite guest, the Guru. Mate, what do you got for us this week?
G'day boys, thanks for having me on once again. Finals week 1, done and dusted. Probably one of the most exciting weeks of rugby league I have ever seen. It was crazy. The Canberra Raiders, a huge upset over the Melbourne Storm. It looks like Adam Elliott, he could miss some footy. I'm not sure if he's going to be available this weekend coming. He's having scans today, but I am well aware that he's a little bit nervous about how those scans are going to go. So keep an eye on Adam Elliott, but my early mail is that he probably will not feature in that game against the Parramatta Eels, which is going to be a big one. Talking of the Canberra Raiders, it's been a pretty inspirational back end of the season for them. They started off the season off awfully. They were in all sorts. Jamal Fogarty came back, which has been sensational, but their improvement has come from within the forward pack. They have been dominating this season. Joey Tapine, Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead, Josh Papali'i, Adam Elliott himself. They've just been on fire. I've been led to believe that this was inspired by an article that was written by Fox League at the start of the season, where they ranked the forward packs from 1 to 16, and they had the Canberra Raiders sitting pretty low in spot 13. 13th out of 16th. Pretty crazy. And the Canberra Raiders, they have not forgotten about it, and their pack, they've taken a little bit of inspiration out of that as the season has gone on. We'll see how they go against Parramatta Eels this weekend. We've also got your Cronulla Sharks boys taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Sharkies coming off the most brutal 93 minutes of rugby league I think I've ever seen. And the South Sydney Rabbitohs coming off their fiasco against arch rivals, the Sydney Roosters. It will be a test of bruised bodies from the Cronulla Sharks and whether the South Sydney Rabbitohs can get themselves up emotionally. It's going to be a very interesting one. Tom Burgess, he will miss this game. A massive out for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. A huge W for the Cronulla Sharks. It will be interesting to see if all the Sharkies are ready to go out off the back of their game, because it was a brutal one. I'll tell you what, it's a good week to be an ice bath. They are going to get a serious workout. For me this weekend, I've got the Bunnies upsetting your boys, unfortunately, and I've got a feeling the boys from the nation's capital might just be able to pull another upset this week against the Parramatta Eels, who will be very nervous coming off their loss to the Penrith Panthers last week. It'll be a very Parramatta Eels sort of thing to go out in straight sets when you consider their squad and everything. History tells us there's probably not much time left in the finals for the Parramatta Eels. It'll be very interesting to see how it goes. Look forward to talking to you next week, boys. Have a cracking weekend and good luck with your Cronulla Sharks.
All right, you introduce Kate.
No, I'm not doing it.
You introduce Kate, Terry.
I am not introducing Kate, Daniel.
Introduce Kate.
No.
Introduce
no.
Kate. Introduce Kate.
No.
Hey, Dan and Terry. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room so we can move on. Now that that's out of the way, I think we can move on. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but here we are. Dan, as the season was unfolding, we knew that both the Cowboys and the Sharkies were likely to find themselves in a game like we just saw on the weekend. And on Saturday night at Shark Park, that was exactly what happened. Last week, I predicted the Sharks and Cowboys would be the game of the round, and it certainly lived up to the hype that surrounded it, with a few extras on top. The three of us spoke with Sam Revel last week on his YouTube channel to preview this game, and I remember saying how hard I was finding it to split the teams in the lead up to this match because I've thought they've had such similar strengths all season. It was one of the best games I've watched in 2022, and in extra time. Golden Point, the Cowboys were victorious after Val Holmes, or Iceman as he is known, nailed a 42-metre, 2-point field goal to see the Cowboys win 32-30. Bittersweet for Sharkies fans to have one of your former players break your hearts like that at what was the end of an extraordinary game. But I guess you'll be glad that at least it wasn't chatty Townsville. The game went back and forth, both teams enjoying the lead at different times of the match. But I think in the end, what just let the Sharkies down was they believed they had it in the bag with 8 minutes to go. And if you know anything about the Cowboys, you should know that that's the worst thing any team can believe, because they do love a good comeback victory. Craig Fitzgibbons conceded in the press conference after the game. He also thought the Sharks had done enough to win the game with 8 minutes to go, and it's just a big no-no when you play the Cowboys. Jonathan Thurston made a career of bringing the team back from the dead, and his legacy ripples through the club, and they always believe they're in with a shot. The win for the Cowboys means that this is the first time in the club's history that they will have the opportunity to host a preliminary grand final, which is just unbelievable for the region. For the fans of North Queensland to finally have the opportunity to support the Cowboys on home soil and cheer them potentially into a grand final is something that they won't forget for a long time. Queensland Country Bank Stadium is as good as any arena I've been to around the country, and believe me when I say they will be swinging from the rafters for that game up in Townsville. I've said before, Cowboys fans, some of the most loyal and dedicated in the league, and even though it will be a Friday night game, I have no doubt people are making plans to have Friday off work to travel to be there. I think this will be the 5th time this year it will be a sellout crowd. So it's wonderful that fans are enjoying it now, because after it was built, of course, it lay dormant for a bit of time due to COVID. Back to the game on Saturday night, there were some big performances from the North Queenslanders that just got them over the line. I found it hard to pick player of the match, but I think Jason Tamalolo, Peter Hiku and Val Holmes in particular were outstanding. Hulk mode has certainly been activated. We saw Lolo play a big 83 minutes. He made 23 runs, 253 metres, 101 post-contact metres, 7 tackle breaks, 41 tackles, and he was the one with ball in hand, with 15 seconds on the clock, scoring a try to give us a shot at staying in the game. Dan, you said in your review last week that if you could take anyone off the field for the Cowboys, it would be Lolo. And I think he proved you right on the weekend. It was a huge performance, and I think the minutes he'll play in the finals will be increased for maximum impact. He's certainly got plenty of mileage left in those big legs for 2022. Peter Hiku, now I've been harping on about this bloke all season because I saw early on what he was capable of bringing to this team. On Saturday night, he certainly earned his Cowboy stripes with a fantastic try, showing some individual brilliance. He made 8 tackle breaks and made a monster 314 metres from 28 carries. If there is an award for buy of the season, his name must be in there, in my opinion. I mentioned Val earlier, but I'm going to talk him up again. 12 points belong to him in this game. And of course, he won the game for us with that long-range field goal. But for me, it's the effort in his game that we've seen all year. In his first year at centre, he is a huge reason as to why the Cowboys are through to a preliminary grand final. At the start of the year, no one would have believed the season he was going to have. He wanted desperately to come to the club to be the fullback, and we know how deadly he's been on the wing, especially in a Maroons jersey. So for him to be playing the sort of football that he is in the position of centre, stepping up in clutch moments time and time again in this new position is quite freakish. I read recently that he said he felt like he left the Sharks a boy, went to the NFL and saw how seriously they take their pre-game preparation. And that's something that he's adopted and now integrated into his own game. He is the top scoring player in the NRL this year with 236 points to his name. He actually overtakes Thurston's previous record of 234 at the Cowboys club. He's in top form again, sort of form we haven't seen since 2018, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed the brilliance continues for another couple of games. What I liked most about this performance by the Cowboys was the gutsy way they hung in during this game. They were down by 8 with about, 10 minutes on the clock, but they didn't ever look like they thought the game was over. It has been that resilience that has been the resurgence of the Cowboys in 2022. Over the past few seasons, they haven't had the heart to stay in the fight. This year, they've got the heart, the belief, and the fitness to back them up, and they're looking damn good. As a Cowboys fan, to say out loud we're only one game away from a grand final is just amazing. We were tipped for the wooden spoon. But as I have said many, many times this year, as I was talking to a few of the younger kids in pre-season, when I was doing some work for the Cowboys, they were absolutely buzzing about the team that was going to take the field in 2022. Names like Nenai, Hiku, Lolo, Townsend, Holmes, and Dearden were being thrown around as the players to watch out for when the season started. So they certainly knew something was brewing. It is not surprising in the slightest that the experts did no work to find out what was happening up north. They were simply lazy enough to label us wooden spooners, and I enjoy nothing more than watching them all in commentary, especially Fox, shaking their heads and trying to work out how we've managed to get to a prelim final. I'm not sure what else the team can do to prove themselves worthy, but making a prelim final seems like maybe now it's the time to jump on the Cowboys bandwagon.
Terry,
Talk to me, Dan.
time to talk some black, white and blue.
I've got the Blues.
I have got the Blues. For about 72 and a half minutes, I was feeling real good about things. Kind of. And then it all came crashing down.
Yeah.
What do you make of the performance?
Look, I think defensively we're going to look at that game and just go, not good enough. I think in attack we're going to look at that and go, 7 out of 10. Obviously, it wasn't enough to win a finals game. Now, there were probably about 200 Cowboys fans there. On TV, the atmosphere sounded absolutely amazing, right? And none of that was the Cowboys. Like, when they scored a try, you couldn't hear it.
No, there's no one there.
This is a game now where Fitz has to have a look at it and go, we don't have game management.
No,
Okay,
no.
we honestly don't have game management. And you and I have spoken off camera about something, but the 74th minute in the game, we're up 30-22 on tackle 4, and we throw a crash ball play to Dale Finucane at Ruben Cotter. Like, that's not it. That's not the play.
It's not the play.
It is absolutely not the play. I think, as well, with 20 seconds to go, you've just got to stand offside.
Yeah.
You've just got to give the penalty away.
Yep. 6 again, even if it's penalty.
Just keep giving the penalty away. Give the 6 again away. Punch the ball out.
Yeah.
Like, kick it out. Do something. Look, I'm going to say this. I thought we were hard done by on that Matt Moylan call because Petahiku was not square. He was off the mark and he put the ball behind Moylan's foot. I think the video referee took the coward's approach to that and just went, look, if I call this a bad play the ball, that's the Cowboys done. It's game over. Whereas he's now turned around and said, well, I'm going to give Cronulla a minute to defend their line. So, yeah, I take that 15 minutes into the game. That's an incorrect play the ball. Look, the performance was, there's a lot to take out of it. Like, Nico Hines was by far and away the best player on the park, even in a losing team. And that picture of him gutted at the end absolutely destroyed me the next day. But you got to give credit to the Cowboys. They hung in, they dug deep, they hadn't beaten us for about 15 years. Yeah. And they come and do it they're a bogey team in the finals.
Yeah, look, they are. Going back to the decisions, we'll get that out of the way. I thought all the decisions were right except that. I thought we were absolutely robbed in that respect. Look, the try that was disallowed, there's no way Val's getting there.
Nope.
It's going to be a try for your life, but all season we've seen that chalked off. Ramian got
his line
lazy.
wrong.
He didn't do it right. He had to step back inside. He had to just do something. Unfortunate, but correct. The decision from Connor Tracy to try and pick the ball up to fall on it, that hurt. It was an obvious no try, so I'm not saying that, but the decision was right. Connor's decision.
His decision, like why he ran in on the wing, why he ran in off his wing, and left Murray Tuolungi untouched. I've got no idea.
Yeah, I thought he was bad. The one play that haunts me even to this moment is Will Kennedy watching Tom Dearden run past him. Now,
and Wade Graham tackling Will Kennedy.
Now, okay, maybe he wouldn't have stopped him. Maybe he would have. It would have been nice for him to try. He stood and watched him go by, and from that very moment, I said, hook him. I know we weren't playing anyone on the bench. I don't care. I would have put Teague to centre. I would have put someone to fullback. Hook him. He's not there mentally. I don't know what happened. I don't think anyone asked him about it. I don't think he knew what happened. Tom Dearden isn't the biggest bloke in the world. He's the fastest bloke in the world. He made a clever break. Nico Hines ran out and missed him. You know, it was a shock and read. But at worst, Kennedy should have held him up. And okay, if he offloads and they score, whatever. It happens. But he didn't try anything. That moment just... It sticks in my craw. The other stuff, okay, you know, Connor went for Val. He knocked him off the ball. It was dumb, but it was a play to save the game. Kennedy stood and watched a bloke who... this time last year was being booted out of the Broncos for being too bad. Now he's come back and, you know, he's an origin player. I get it. But, you know, compared to Nico Hines, who are you taking? You're taking Nico Hines. And Kennedy stood and watched him run past.
I'm going to say this. The biggest issue that I have in that sense there is that Dale Finucane was called offside and yet knew that Dearden was going to run through. Just give the 6 again away.
Yeah, spot on.
We had no, and this is a senior player. Just give it away. Yeah. Give that 6 again away. It wasn't off a quick tap, so you're not going to get sin bin. Nope. But we weren't set in the line. They got a quick play of the ball. You've got to give that away. Like, our leadership, our game management was just so bad in this game, and it was really un-Cronulla-like in our last 11 games that we had played. I'm at a loss for words.
You're right. It was un-Cronulla-like. Now, semi-finals football is different. You saw Penrith. You saw Latrell Mitchell kick the ball back off the first... zero tackle.
Literally caught it and kicked it back.
Just to get it up there and defend. Now, the Roosters came down. They, you know, it probably didn't work out like he thought it would. But we were kicking into the corners. We were defending well. Albeit we did have the wind, I understand. Then we went away from it. Only Nico Hines and Matt Moylan being so brilliant kept us in the game. We scored 2 or 3 tries, some brilliant one-off or two-off play. Other than that, though, your crash plays and stuff. The Sharks, I don't know whether we just got nervous. I for the life of me, can't, you know, unless he was injured. Why didn't Andy Fafita come back? He was the best forward on the park for the 10 minutes he was there. He forced 2 errors and he broke, 45 metres from 3 runs. Okay, he's not the fittest bloke in the world, but at the end, when guys have been playing 70, 80 and 85 minutes, can't you put Fafita on when you need a leader? He's won a premiership for us. Why didn't he come back on the field? I just think Cronulla, we blew it.
Toby played less than half a game. Royce Hunt played 37 minutes. Braden Hamlin-Uele played 24 minutes. Criminal. But there is nothing more readable in the game than a Blake Brayley crash play 3 metres out from the line. We've got to fuck that play off because they belted Finucane and that cost us the game.
Yeah, roll it
right
in.
There.
6 more. Okay, make them take the short kick off and get the ball back.
But it was 30-22. Yeah. So we just gave field position away.
On the positive, we got in a position where we probably should have won that game. As a negative, we've now made it exponentially harder for ourselves through our own selves, our own fault.
Get past South, get into a prelim against Penrith, give it a red hot shake. Anything can happen. I don't think we can beat Penrith. We're on the wrong side of the draw.
No, me neither. Look,
once again, the Cowboys are taking the path to the grand final that we should be. They did it in 2015, they did it in 2017, and they're going to do it in 2022 because I think the Cowboys are going to make the grand final.
I think so now. It's hard to beat them up there. They won't get to the grand final in New South Wales Cup though, Terry. Which is good. So we're quite.
But will we?
That's the big question. Now, for those that haven't followed, the Newtown Jets were pretty soundly defeated by Penrith. Now, there was an 8-point margin. We were there at the game. The atmosphere was fantastic. Jets did their absolute best, but Penrith were in another world. They kicked about 2 from 8, so it could have been an absolute flogging. Look, Newtown, they're going to play the Bulldogs this week. We drew with the Bulldogs with half a side, and the side we'll name this week is going to be a lot stronger. So
hopefully Braden Trindle's back.
Trindle needs to be back, and I'll tell you Lockie Miller needs to play. Him sitting there, I know he was 18th man and stuff. Put someone else there. Put Jesse Colquhoun in 18th man. you need him playing, whether it be first grade for mine or for the Jets.
You can cover the forwards in New South Wales Cup. We've got some really good forwards in New South Wales Cup. You can't cover Lockie Miller.
No, we cannot.
He was best player in that competition by far.
Yeah, and he should, by all rights, be named New South Wales Player of the Year, Cup Player of the Year by the time this airs. Bill Magoulias.
Dreadful.
At 6.
Kate Dykes.
Arguably the worst game of his life. Metcalf, for all the talk, wasn't playing real well, got injured, came off. Matty Cavallo's gone, done his knee, season's over by all accounts. Everything's negative, but Newtown should come out and put a score on the Bulldogs this week. 3 o'clock, Leichhardt Oval, I believe. So if you can get there or watch on Channel 9 before you go to the main game, that'd be great. Whether or not we can beat Penrith, they've slugged us 3 times in a row. It's going to be a long shot, but Newtown love a late comeback. So I haven't given up yet. I think the Jets will be in the grand final.
Dan,
talk to me, Terry.
It's time for some top sport tips.
Yo, Beauty.
I tipped a perfect round in the finals.
We tipped a perfect round.
No, Dan. I tipped a perfect round.
It's only 4 games, doesn't count. Them's the rules, Terry. Look, we should do this week okay, 50-50 chance.
Now, we haven't spoken off air about which one of it, who we're tipping. Yeah. So, we don't know. We're going into this blind.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know who's playing.
Who is playing? Then Friday night, the Canberra Raiders take on the Parramatta Eels at CommBank Stadium in Parramatta. Winner goes up to Townsville. Who's going to win this game and why?
I think Canberra. Now, the smart money bet is probably on the slight favourites, the Eels, but my belief is they built their season on the back of dominant forward performances. And I can't see any way they get over this Canberra pack.
No way. Joe Tarpany, you and I call it best prop in the game. Josh
Second best prop in the game?
Yeah, well, he'd be right up there in the conversation. Josh Papali'i, but he has been the best prop in the game before. Hudson Young.
Bolton towards a World Cup spot.
Harawira-Naera.
Fantastic player. Corey Horsburgh coming off the bench.
Yeah, Elliot Whitehead, captain of England.
Yeah.
The only weakness in that pack is Zach Wolford, and he fits that team like a glove.
Yeah, he tackles lots. He doesn't take a whole lot of risk.
And then when he wears the opposition down, Tom Starling comes on, has a couple of runs. Wolford comes back out, closes the game.
In terms of big game players, as much as I love Mitch Moses, and we've both been on record as saying we're big fans, doesn't really lift in the big games. He hasn't had that Origin performance or that finals performance. I know they did throttle Brisbane a couple of years ago, but you or I could have run that down. Whereas Jack Whiten makes his name in these big games.
Yeah, he does. Now, you can call him average Jack as people have been, but his average performance is like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Give me that. Jamal Fogarty has turned into another level, and the Canberra backline, let's just talk about that. Xavier Savage has turned into a ball player. Their wingers, Kotrick and Rapana, are making sensational meters. Chris and Tomoko, who I bagged at the beginning of the year, thought he was an atrocious first choice centre. Killing it. He turned into prime Mal Meninga on Cam Munster on the weekend.
It was crazy. They're pushing blokes. They're so big.
Yeah.
And they play bigger than they are, if that's possible.
And they're so fit for big guys. Like Joe Tarpany could play 80 minutes and not even care.
He almost did. Now, for mine, he was the player of the week last week. I know you have your thoughts, but I thought Tarpany dominated a pretty handy, opposition pack. I'm not supremely confident that Canberra win, but I'm pretty confident they will. It'll be 1-12. I think this will be one of those games that's won on a bit of magic. I think it comes from Jack Whiten.
I'm going to go 1-12, and I think this is going to come down to a controversial call.
Oh, I hope so.
I hope it comes down to a controversial call.
Get it out of your system before the big game on Saturday.
Yeah, I think this is going to come down to a controversial
You're tipping Canberra, obviously?
I am tipping Canberra in this game here, and like you, I think Jack Whiten's going to be the player of the game. Absolutely. Probably the player of the round as well.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. There'll be a big crowd out there at CommBank, though.
It's going to be huge. Now, speaking of huge, Saturday night, the Cronulla Sharks are hosting the South Sydney Rabbitohs at the stadium that South Sydney want. They own it now. South Sydney own that stadium.
They do. They won the big game, and as Brian, a good mate of mine, pointed out, they will have played more games there this year than the Roosters. So, before we get into the game itself, what do you think about the stadium allocation? Because it came out today that the NRL were going to enforce us to play at Allianz, even if it was the Roosters.
Look, I'm okay. It doesn't really matter. You get your home ground advantage once, and then it has to move to a bigger stadium. I do think that Cronulla should have been given the choice. Yeah, so if we wanted to play the game at Homebush, but it just makes sense to play the game at that stage.
It does.
It's brand new. It's there. It's geographically better for both teams. Like, who cares, really?
I agree.
We fluffed it. We shouldn't be playing this weekend, but we are. Look, I'm struggling with this game here. Head says that the Rabbitohs are probably just a classy player in Latrell Mitchell above us, but the heart says the Sharks are going to win this game. I think we'll win this game based on the fact that, that my heart's telling me we're going to win this game because that was an emotional toll. Yes, we played longer minutes, and yes, we were going to come off that defeat from Val Holmes, but that was an emotional toll. And you saw Latrell Mitchell in tears talking to Fittler after the game. They're not going to have that same kind of emotion. Now, it's going to be draining. Tom Burgess, is he going to fight the judiciary charge? Is he not?
I don't think it matters. He's gone.
I think they're going to go for a downgrade.
They have to. They have to take the shot. I don't think it matters whether they win or lose. Look, I'm going to go with South Sydney because I'm on the jinx this week.
You are on the jinx this week.
What I would say to the boys, and we know they're watching, shout out to the lot of yous, especially Sir Fitz, stay out of the media this week. If someone puts a microphone in front of you, minimal words. Yeah, good. Yeah, Latrell's a good player. Or something like that, because Latrell Mitchell thrives off controversy and he thrives off, that chip on his shoulder. And we love the bloke. When Latrell's got a chip on his shoulder, he's either the worst player in the park or he comes out and kills you. I don't want to take that risk.
No, I'm not taking that.
Last time we played Cronulla, all the talk was about South. Let him have the talk.
Yep.
Johnson scored 1 million tries. Awesome. Latrell's one of the best players in the game. Fantastic. Let him fight the Burgess charge. Whatever. Cronulla just sit in the corner. Whatever. We lost last week. Let's regroup. Do not give them anything to come out there with. Then in the first minute, needle Cody Walker. Well, Cody, good game last week from Latrell, not from you though. You got lucky. Rub his head, push his face in the dog poo, whatever.
Yeah, give us 6 again away.
Get him off his game because he's very easy to stir. Latrell, leave him alone. If he comes in firing, leave him alone. Whatever. Good luck, Latrell. Hope you kick on from the sideline early, gets claps and fans. I won't be yelling at him when he's lining up a conversion. That's right. I don't want to give him anything. In saying that, I think South Sydney win because jinx.
Yeah, we got a better back line. I think we're on par in the forwards. The only difference in all of that is Latrell Mitchell. It's
Nico Hines.
Yeah, Nico. We need that 5-star performance again from him. Matt Moreland needs to step up.
I also want to see a change. I want to see Lachlan Miller put on Alex Johnston's wing because we saw Johnston burn opposition defenders this week. And if we're turning and chasing, Lockie's the only one that gets close.
Yeah, you don't want Connor Tracy turning around chasing Alex.
No, and I don't want Talakai turning at all. So let's get Lockie in. South because I have to.
Sharks because I don't want my heart broken. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of Rugby League Outlaws brought to you by Punctured Media, our good friends at Top Sports, onelittleFootyFan.com.au and the Stubby Club. Don't forget to like and subscribe, get all your merchandise from them. Let us know what you think of the show. If there's anything that you disagree with, drop it in the comments. Dan and I love reading it.
Gonna ignore you this week.
Gonna ignore you like we do.
Not gonna bite.
Every week. Dan?
We should be in the prelim, Terry.
Rugby League.
Baby.